Hello. Today's presentation is all about creating a black background in order to be able to drag into the background a panel of images, and it could probably be anything from about 3 to 6 images. The purposes of this is so that the eventual image is can be used for projection purposes, probably with an image resolution of, let's say, 1920 by 1200, or you might want to create one with 1920 by 1280 pixels. Today I will be creating one with 1920 by 1200. As you can see from the screen, we're going to use Photoshop Elements. I'm using 2021, but it could be earlier versions. And we're also, alongside Photoshop Elements, we've added in Elements Plus, which is an add-in that's available from the internet. So here is the internet site where you can download Elements Plus. As you can see, it's from elementsplus.net. There are quite a few versions that can be obtained. You'll see it goes back as far as having add-ins back to version 6 of Photoshop Elements, with various attributes being available. So let's get started. So the first thing to do, I'm assuming you've downloaded the Elements Plus and installed it alongside Photoshop Elements. And so the first thing to do now is open up Photoshop Elements. So here is the first flash screen for Adobe Photoshop Elements 2021. And we're now going to open up the photo editor. This is maybe what your screen looks like when you open up Photoshop Elements. The first thing to do is change from quick to expert version. So we see all sorts of different things coming in at the side. When you've clicked on expert, the folder should look like this. The other thing to check at this point is that you've got the right background color. You'll see on the left hand side here the foreground and background color are shown, and you can alternate between the two by pressing on the little arrows at right angles to each other. So if we press on there, you'll see we've now got a black foreground and a white background. Before we proceed, we want the black background to be behind the white foreground. So having done that, we can then go to File and New, Blank File. You'll see that we get this little window coming up. We've got a name, Untitled 1. It's currently set to a document type of default Photoshop Elements size, and there are various settings there that we'll go into in a minute. First of all, I'll leave it as Untitled 1, and we'll change this to Custom, which is at the very bottom. And now we've got Custom, we can change sizes, etc. What we'll do first is we'll go into the width, which is currently in centimeters, and change it to pixels. We want our black background to be 1920 pixels wide and 1200 pixels height. The resolution is currently in pixels per centimeter. I like to see this in pixels per inch, which is then comes out as 300 pixels per inch, which is the sort of resolution I would normally use if I was printing, but it's not really relevant to what we're doing at the moment. The color mode is already set to RGB color, that doesn't change. Background contents will, if we left it, be white. We can change that to a background color or transparent. Now we need to change it to background color, which we've done. Now the reason when we first started with controlling the background and foreground color was to make sure that the background color came out as black when we finish this process. Now then, you can save this as a preset. If you do that, it will give you a preset name, which is quite intuitive. I'm going to call it new because I've already saved a preset with that sort of name, so it's got a slightly different name. All the items are ticked and you can go OK. Right, so there we have it. We've got a black background, which when we click on OK, here is our black background, which has got the pixel dimensions that we require. I'll just close this for a moment, and I won't do any sort of save, but I will just come and go File, New again, and go Blank File, and I'll demonstrate that I have got a pixel size already saved as a preset prior to, in fact I've got two. I've got the new one and the old one. I think what I'll do first of all is delete the new one. Okay, and then I'm just left with the old one. So we're back to custom. Well, no, we're not back to custom. So if we now choose this preset that I prepared earlier, it's 1920 pixels by 1200 pixels wide, 300 pixels per inch. Background color is what's going to be used. So we could have come in and gone straight to that if we'd already got our black background set up as a preset. So if we go OK, our black background appears. Right, so we now need some images to put onto this. So if we now go to File and Open, you'll see we have a set of images here, but I'm going to select 3 of these to use for demonstration purposes. I'm going to select some that are appear to be more or less square. So with the Control key down, so that I can jump around, we'll select that one, we'll select that one, and we'll select that one. Okay, open those. Right, all those images are now opened. What I'm going to do now is just change back to the first image I selected, which I'm going to put on the left hand side of the black panel. I'll do the preparations on all of the 3 images before we import them into the black panel. So taking this one, we need to have layers showing, so click on the bottom bar to get the layers showing. We've just got a background layer at the moment, so we want to duplicate the layer. It's probably the best way. We'll call this we'll call this one layer 1. Well, no, actually we'll call it pick 1. Okay, and we go OK. Then we have the pick 1 duplicated. Now this is where we're going to use some of the Elements Plus facilities. If we go into Effects at the bottom, you'll find that we have a whole load of icons. Now the third in this selection is Layers, and you will find that that is the one we want to use on this. So you'll see on the window that opens, we've got the first item is Convert to Embedded Object. So this is what we want to do. If we double click on there, it will go away and convert that layer that we've chosen to an embedded object. So going back to the layers, by clicking down below, you'll see that there's a little icon appeared at the bottom right hand side of pick 1 layer. It's saying it's a Smart Object Thumbnail. Okay, so that's fine for the first picture. We'll go now on to the second picture and repeat the process. So again, we've got a background layer and we're going to duplicate that layer and call this pic 2. And OK. Again, go into effects in order to get the Elements Plus facilities. We're looking at layers again. Click on the third icon for layers. Double click on Convert to Embedded Objects. Go back to layers. We've now got the little icon bottom right that shows it's an embedded object. So let's move on to the third photo. And again, we're going to, in layers, we're going to duplicate the layer as previously. We'll call this pic 3. Okay. And then we can go down to effects, select the layers icon, double click on convert to embedded object, return to layers, and yeah, we can see the little icon there saying it's smart with the smart object thumbnail. Right, so we've done that to the 3 pictures we want to add. Now what I will do is I'll go down to layout on the bottom left, and what we need to do is set all of these out in a grid layout, and you'll see that we've got all of the pictures. So what I'm going to do at this stage is move all 3 pictures onto the black background, but I won't resize them. I'll do that all in one go at the end because it's the most effective way of doing it. So I will take pic 1 now, the layer which we've converted to a smart object, and drag it in to the black background and let it go. Okay, we'll leave it there at the moment. So now let's select pic 2. And we'll again, taking the smart object there, drag it in to the black background. Okay, that's in there, and we'll select pic 3 and drag that one in again to the black background. Okay, so all our pics now have the smart object layers dragged into the black background. So if we go to layout again and go to default, I think the black background is the currently selected picture. So we've now got all of those pictures on the black background. So let's just turn off, to make it look easier, let's just turn off pic 3 and pic 2. And we just have pic 1 in there. What we do is we now resort to the move tool, which is actually selected already over here. And then if you go to the middle of the picture, you'll be able to move the whole picture in. One caution here, if you select the side or bottom selectors, you're going to get this horrible effect, which you don't want. We don't want it going narrow or wide or whatever. So let's go back to the original. So the easiest way to resize is to take the corners so that we get proportional adjustment, like so. We can click then on the middle and bring it down to approximately the middle of the black background, top to bottom middle. And now let's just resize it, make it a bit bigger. We'll make it about that big. This looks about right. Whoops, didn't want to stay. Okay, and then we'll push that up so it looks just about in the middle, top to bottom, and that looks fine. Right, so make pic 2 visible. Again, you see that it's rather large and out of proportion. So what we're going to do is we're going to well, we haven't actually selected pic 2. We need to select pic 2 itself. and you'll see that the movement tool signs are in the right place for pick 2. So let's do a bit of resizing again, taking it from the corners so it does proportional enlarging or decreasing in size. We'll take that pick 2 corner there, we'll make it the same height as that picture, and then we can drag it towards the center, which visibly that is about the center. That will do, I think. Click on the arrow to accept that, and now let's go into select pick 3 and make it visible. Again, it's pick 3 is the layer selected, so we can again play around with the size of the image, and we'll decrease it to there, drag it over, just compose it over the other. It's about the right size actually, isn't it? Probably about there. Okay, and then drag it over. It's about equal width from the other side, probably up a bit and over a bit. Yeah, visibly that doesn't look too bad. Unfortunately, you don't get alignments lines coming up. It would appear on Photoshop Elements, but that's as may be, so we'll accept that. Right, so we have clicking on the background, you'll see that we have our panel, and it's been organized and is all but ready to turn into a JPEG or whatever. You'll see that at the moment we have all the layers still visible. If you want to save your panel of images at this stage, it's worth saving it as a PSD so that you can come back and edit them later. But what I'm going to do at this now is move on from that, and the first thing I'm going to do is merge visible. So that flattens all the layers down to one image. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is save this now, File, and Save As. Right, what you'll see is that it's deciding it's going to save it as a JPEG, which is probably fair enough. We'll just call it Birds 4 or something like that, I think. Okay. You'll see that we've got, because the underlying photos were sRGB profile, that is the case, and we'll do a save that. Okay, so that more or less completes the demonstration. Just a further word on Elements Plus and using with a Mac machine. The Mac PC Elements Plus works in a slightly different way to the Windows version, and has a number of slightly different ways of installing it. Basically what you'll find is the Mac version of Elements Plus that you download can be installed in such a way that the Elements Plus features are under Actions, as I'm displaying there. So that's one setting. There is another setting whereby what you can do with Elements Plus is that you can create shortcuts from the Mac dock. It means that once you've got Photoshop Elements open, then you're able to use the Elements Plus add-ins or scripts by selecting an icon off the Elements dock that then shows a string of items in an arc, which is the individual scripts for doing such things as was demonstrated there with selecting smart objects. Good luck with installing Elements Plus on a Mac. It's not as easy on Windows, and it depends on which Mac operating system you're using. But there are some helpful notes on the elementsplus.net website, but it's not easy. Having done it from a friend, it's not easy. Okay, I think that just about concludes my demonstration. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. I have various videos on the YouTube site, and I have a YouTube channel called Philip Gravett. If you like what you've seen, please come back and look at some of the videos that I've set up. A lot of them are on wildlife, and also I do have some landscape photography videos. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and I will say goodbye.